Welcome to 1000 PS TV. Toki and Zonko get two US V2 models. It will be a comparison between the Indian FTR Sport and the Harley-Davidson Sportster S 2023. Stay tuned. In this clash of the two US counterparts, one could speak on paper of a comparison at eye level. Two water-cooled V2 engines with over 120 horsepower from the US, weighing about 230 kilograms and equipped with an expansive license plate holder. But is that enough for a comparison? Let's start with the technical data of the Indian FTR Sport versus Harley-Davidson Sportster S. The V2 cylinder engine of the Indian FTR Sport with a massive displacement of 1,203 cubic centimeters competes against the four-stroke V2 cylinder engine of the Harley-Davidson Sportster S with a proud 1,252 cubic centimeters. A showdown of the water-cooled new developments from overseas. The Sportster S boasts a powerful 125 Nm of torque at 6,000 RPM. But the FTR Sport doesn't let its hair down either, delivering a massive boost of 118 Nm at 6,000 revs. The Sportster SR 1250S, as the Harley is called in full, relies for its suspension components on an adjustable upside-down telescopic fork from Showa, with a 43 mm standpipe diameter that can be adjusted in compression, spring per load and rebound. At the rear, an adjustable monoshock from Showa ensures optimum performance. The Indian suspension from Sachs even shines with complete adjustability at the front and rear. In terms of the braking system, the Indian FTR Sport relies on a Brembo 4-piston caliper in combination with a 320 mm double disc at the front. At the rear, a 2-piston caliper and a 260 mm disc are used. The Harley-Davidson Sportster SR 1250S also relies on a Brembo 4-piston caliper, but has to make do with a 320 mm single disc at the front and a single piston caliper combined with a 260 mm disc at the rear. The FTR Sport rolls onto the tarmac with naked bike standard tire dimensions of 120/70/17 front and 180/55/17 rear, while the Sportster S relies on a fat 160/70/17 tire up front and an equally exceptional 180/70/16 tire out back to provide grip. Surprising because it doesn't seem like it at first glance, the wheelbase of the Indian FTR Sport is 1,525 mm, 5 mm more than that of the Harley-Davidson Sportster S from wheel axle to wheel axle. Smaller differences than expected also arise in the seat height. This measures 765 mm for the Harley Cruiser, but the Indian pilot also sits just 780 mm above the ground. It really shouldn't be any lower. The tank of the FTR Sport holds just 13 liters of fuel, while the Sportster S is equipped with a tank capacity of just 11.8 liters. With a ready-to-ride weight of 237 kilograms, the Indian proves to be somewhat heavier than the Harley-Davidson, which comes up trumps with 228 kilograms. We have of course checked the official data on the 1000 PS cow scales. Here, the Indian comes to 233 kilograms fully tanked, while the Harley weighs 231 kilograms brimful. On paper is sometimes only half the truth. Now you might think you know everything, and yet in truth you know nothing about this comparison. In fact, the two US bikes hit completely different notches. The Indian is an individual power naked with serious sporting aspirations and plenty of competition on the market, while Harley-Davidson has launched the Sportster S, a model that is positioned more in the direction of a cruiser and has no direct rivals in this form. Sitting positions like day and night, ergonomics Indian FTR Sport versus Harley-Davidson Sportster S. Forward-mounted footpegs and wide handlebars determine the seating position on the Harley-Davidson Sportster S cruiser feeling that takes its toll at high speeds. The wind pressure on the chest and head is considerable. In general, long stages on a nice but also relatively uncomfortable seat are only something for hard-bitten pilots. The cool appearance in front of the ice cream parlor is therefore relatively expensive. A pillion seat, which one might assume under the cover at the rear, is not provided, by the way, and the footrest system for the passenger is missing. The Indian FTR Sport is completely different. Sitting upright, a removable cover under which a pillion seat is located and centrally positioned. Even slightly tilted forward foot pegs result in an agile seating position, as befits a sporty naked bike. The Indian's handlebars are wide enough to allow the bike to push in tight turns. Both Zonko with just under 1.80 meters and I with 1.87 meters find good space on the machine. The knee angle is not overly acute, and in the comfortable saddle you can imagine even extended daily stages without any problems. When actively riding, attention is naturally focused on the 160 front tire in the Harley. It takes some getting used to and a not inconsiderable amount of effort to get the bike to turn in. Once you get the hang of it, the relatively large lean angle clearance for a cruiser makes more cornering speed possible than you would initially expect. The Indian FTR Sport is incredibly easy to handle in direct transitions. It's hard to believe that it's the heavier of the two competitors. This maneuverability can be explained by several factors. First of all, the already mentioned clearly more active seating position. But also the tires, and not without reason popular. Standard naked bike dimensions 120/70/17 front and 180/55/17 rear play a considerable role. There's a great selection on the tire market here, and Indian doesn't skimp on the OEM tire and mounts the super sporty Metzeler N9RR on the FTR Sport. The double disc brakes at the front, including radially bolted calipers from Brembo, allow the FTR to decelerate quickly and precisely, and the front brakes have been revised for 2023. Sporty riding is no problem here, and the lean angle clearance is also sufficient for country road riding. But the Indian reaches its limits on the racetrack, as I already found out with the predecessor in 2021. The chassis of the FTR Sport was as convincing then as it is now. The feedback from the fork and suspension strut need not hide in comparison with sporty naked bikes. Let's move on to the equipment. A full electronics package and more are available in Sportster S and FTR Sport. The Sport version of the FTR has the full electronics package, which includes 3 riding modes: wheelie control, stability control, traction control and cornering ABS. Therefore, you can rely on a modern safety system for powerful acceleration and braking. For driving on country roads, the standard mode is the most suitable. It offers pleasant responsiveness, while the sport mode acts rather binary. Really sporty drivers might miss a quickshifter, which is not available even at an extra charge. On a positive note, the FTR Sport comes with cruise control and a full navigation system as standard. In the 2023 model year, the FTR Sport, just like the FTR Rally and FTR R-Carbon, gets a 4 inches round touchscreen display with ride command and navigation as standard equipment. While the predecessor still relied on an acropovic rear silencer, this has now been replaced by a new sport rear silencer. The speedometer unit has been moved upwards for improved readability, and this measure has been visually concealed by the fly screen. Surprisingly, the Harley-Davidson is virtually on a par with its US colleague in terms of electronic equipment. 5 riding modes are available ex-works: the pre-programmed Sport, Road and Rain, and 2 additional freely programmable riding modes. The settings for power delivery, engine braking, the lean angle-dependent anti-lock braking system, and the lean angle-dependent traction control system can be freely selected with these driving modes. All these electronic features are set via the 4 inches round color TFT display centrally mounted on the handlebars. This offers just not only the display of speed, RPM, riding modes, etc., but also turn-by-turn navigation, which is transmitted from the Harley-Davidson app, touchscreen or a map display of the Navi, as well as a wheelie control. I would like to devote a short chapter to the engines. Both manufacturers are famous for their air-cooled V2 giants, but they have to make more and more concessions with regard to the Euro standards that have to be met. So it's hardly surprising that special attention is being paid to the development of water-cooled V2OS at both Harley and Indian. The units in the test proved to be powerful and characterful engines. Of course, you have to cut back on the sound, but in terms of performance, no air-cooled engine even comes close. Subjectively, the Revolution Max can make the most of its slight increase in displacement, especially in the lower engine speed regions, and offers a massive kick from below. We couldn't determine how much Newton meters and horsepower the low-maintenance belt drive swallows, but you don't have to worry about that. Power is available in abundance. The Indian V2 offers a bit more revving joy than its Milwaukee counterpart, and scores with a strong mid-range. Vibrations become noticeable when spinning out and admonish the pilot to shift gears. Conclusion on the non-comparison Indian FTR Sport versus Harley-Davidson Sportster S. Moving these two motorcycles together was very enlightening for Zonko and me. However, we both came to the conclusion that they are not suitable for a true comparison test. Each of these bikes has a fan base, and quite rightly so. The Indian FTR range because of its incredible versatility, and the Harley-Davidson Sportster S because of its uniqueness, which comes cheekily close to satirizing the American dream on 2 wheels. Conclusion on the Harley-Davidson Sportster SRH 1250S 2023. The Sportster S returns to the tradition of this series. Yes, it really used to be about sport. Therefore, the latest creation of the Americans with its 122 horsepower and 125 Nm torque does not want to be steered into the cruiser track, but almost classless to go on customer catch. What is offered is a wonderful poser bike that is surprisingly easy to ride after a bit of familiarization. The single disc brake at the front has to work properly, and the fat 160 front tire does not steer in quite naturally. In addition, the rider has to cope with a hard suspension and a power-sapping seating position on long stages, which of course doesn't matter at all in front of the ice cream parlor. Electronics and safety are on top level, which diffuses the decent price for true fans. Conclusion on the Indian FTR Sport 2023. The Indian FTR Sport attracts attention neither by its sportiness, nor by its engine, nor by its flat tracker look alone. Rather, it is the unique overall package that makes it stand out. You won't find a powerful American V2 in a chic neo-retro flat-track design and naked bike ergonomics anywhere else. So if you're a fan of this particular combination, you almost have to go for the FTR, and you won't regret it. The over-complete equipment only lacks a quickshifter, and a little more tank capacity would be nice. Thank you for watching this video. Tell us in the comments which model you prefer more. Subscribe to our channel and leave us a like. See you soon on 1000 PS TV.